Alright, Exodus 21 through 25. Now these are the laws. And to think the people back then had to memorize all these laws and live by them and abide by them. And for everything they messed up on, they had to do a sacrifice, make an offering, a burnt offering to get atonement for their sins. I say Moses is leading them. He was the meekest man in the earth. Meek means humility, humble, long-suffering, just humble, just a down-to-earth guy with a sweet spirit and a sweet heart. But just because you have a sweet spirit and a sweet heart doesn't mean you don't get fed up with stuff. Don't mean you don't get fed up with people. You don't mean you don't have any anger, because he left Pharaoh angry. You know, and like I say, later on through the chapters, and it shows he's getting frustrated with having to deal with the people, you know, like, God, just take me on now. Don't let me deal with these people like this. But 21 is about law concerning servants. And basically, you know, you buy people when they serve you. And all this, or if you sell your daughter to a man or whatever. If you buy a Hebrew servant, they serve you 6 years, and in the 7th year they go free. If he came in by himself, he'll go up by himself. If he came in with a family, he'd leave with his family. And, you know, stuff like that. It's, you know, servants' slavery, basically. And then, personal injury. If a man smites a man so he die, that man shall be put to death. Basically, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth kind of thing. I mean, it's really interesting reading this. And if you think about if the government today would use a lot of this stuff, the crime rate would go down. They wouldn't be losing money, paying for jail and all that, and feeding the inmates and doing all this. We'd save money and get back out of a recession if we definitely put a lot of these laws into effect. I mean, you got nations, it's Muslim nations and stuff. They got a lot of these laws, and them people are on a tight leash. Now, the first part's concerning servants and stuff. You know, if you're not happy with the woman you buy, you redeem her and let her go and all this stuff. If the master gives his servant a wife and she have kids, then the wife and her children will stay with her master, and the servant will go free after the 6 years and all that. It's crazy, but then, you know, if the servant loves his master, can stay there with him forever and be his servant. And a lot of this, I mean, believe it or not, people think they're like trying to do slavery and all this stuff, which they are. I mean, they're having servants and stuff, but at the same time, that was their jobs. Basically, it's like us having our jobs. We got to do this and deal with these people and work for them to have money. I mean, I'm sure they didn't treat them bad, because the Bible does instruct not to afflict or oppress anybody, as slavery happened, you know, here in America, and they oppressed and afflicted people. Then you got, like I say, personal injuries, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, and all that. If an ox gores a man and they die, then the ox will be stoned, and his flesh will not be eaten. You know, if the ox, you know, to push a man or maidservant, then he give, you know, the master 30 shekels, and the ox will be stoned, and the master will have to pay them or whatever for their damage, and to kill the ox, stuff like that. And you got theft. You know, you'll restore double if you steal from somebody. And the property damage, you know, you gotta restore them. Dishonesty, enticing a maid or whatever, civil and religious obligations. You shall not suffer a witch to live. Whoso lieth with a beast shall be put to death. He that sacrifices to any god shall utterly be destroyed. Neither vex a stranger or oppress him, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. Shall not afflict a widow or a fatherless child. I mean, it's interesting to read. I mean, you should read it. I'm not going to read all this because I'll just give you some samples of it, I guess, basically. I say don't rise up a false report and lie and make up stuff about people. And, you know, if you see your enemy's property or animal going away, you return it back to him again. Then you got the laws about the feast and all this, the Sabbaths and unleavened bread and laws relating to conquest and stuff about sending the angel before them into the place that they prepared. Don't provoke the angel, because he will not pardon your transgressions, but obey his voice. And to serve the Lord, and he will bless your bread and your water and take sickness away from the midst of thee. Why do you think you've got a lot of sickness going on in the world today? I mean, there's a lot of sickness. AIDS, cancer. You know, God could heal that if we trusted in him. So then the covenant's ratified. He basically goes up, sprinkles the blood on the people with him on the altar, and sprinkled on the people to purify them, I guess. And they went up and they saw God under his feet, as it was a paved work of a sapphire stone, as it were the body of heaven in this clearness. And the Lord taught him to come up, and he gave him the stones of the 10 Commandments, of the law and the commandments. Taught him to teach them. And then the glory of the Lord appeared, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And on the 7th day he called unto Moses out of the midst of the cloud. And the Lord was a devouring fire on top of a mount in the eyes of the children of Israel. And Moses went into the mount, and he was there for 40 days and 40 nights. Then God tells him he wants a house for him, so they're going to build a tabernacle. Which you go on my Facebook page, a look at the Bible through the eyes of a sinner. I got pictures of the layouts of what it looked like, you know, the best to our knowledge. He basically tells him the materials to get, and how to build the Ark of the Mercy seat, the table for the bread, and the candlesticks. You know, he gives him all the details of what to get and to use. And then, you know, the gold, and he basically just gives him the layout of how he wants it to look. So they're getting themselves prepared now. And that's Exodus 21 through 25.